Hey everyone, I'm Beej, that's B-E-J-G, and this is my channel Beej Free, where every day I am trying to transport myself back to 1973. Not with a time machine, but with clothing. Come along on today's video.
So this video is about learning. It's about learning how to use new equipment, new fabric, new camera techniques, new audio techniques, remembering to position the camera in the correct direction for YouTube. So bear with me here. We're going to try some new things. You're going to hear some new techniques. You're going to see me struggle. You're going to see me do something that I want to do in a day in like 3 months. It might not be that bad. But stay with me and let's learn something. So speaking of learning, of course, the very first few steps I took here, I completely forgot that I needed to turn the camera to get that wide angle or that full screen shot. So here is a montage of me in the first couple steps here. So, I mean, with any sewing project, you need to lay out your fabric, you need to pin your pattern down, and you have to start cutting out your pattern. And I'll tell you what, for me, this always takes the absolute longest. And even in sped up, you can see that this is not a short process. So folding the fabric a certain way, making sure all the patterns fit so that you're losing the least amount of scrap fabric or wasting the least amount of fabric, and then pinning it so everything's straight. And this was a new type of fabric for me, so I was trying to be very particular about making sure I was on the correct direction. I think it worked out pretty well. I think I got everything exactly where it needed to be.
So I'm starting in on dress number 1, and I'm already struggling. So this is a rayon jersey knit fabric. I have never sewn with this type of fabric. The very first step is to stay stitch the neckline right there. And I put it on my machine and it just immediately bunches up. So this is gonna be fun getting this whole dress figured out maybe today. Here we go. Okay, so after watching a couple YouTube videos and trying to get myself a little bit more familiar in like 10 minutes, I decided to try the tissue paper trick. So what I'm doing is laying the fabric on top of just scrap tissue paper I had, and I'm gonna go ahead and sew it just like this. And then once I'm done sewing, I just tear, because I already did this with one piece, tear the tissue paper away. Leave a nice seam that's gonna keep it from stretching extra. Need to do that for the stay stitching, and we'll probably do that just with the way this pattern is designed. It's got this nice straight seam and it's just not going to work real well in the serger. So we're going to try it this way.
So after the little bit of straight stitching that I had to do on my regular machine, I decided that I was going to do absolutely as much as possible on the serger, including the darts. And the darts just, sewing takes a long time. Darts take a long time, sewing takes a long time. But once the darts were done, then it was just stitching up the side seams in the front and back, and the bodice went together pretty quickly after that. After stitching together the bodice, the next step was to attach the sleeves. And I gotta say, I'm pretty proud of myself because for the first time, I attached the sleeves correctly on the first try. It is very, very common, especially if there's a left and a right sleeve, which is most of the time the case, to get those backwards. And this one I got popped in there just right, no extra issues, so real easy to put that together.
Here's another fitting on the mannequin, and I'm going to be really honest here. This is actually after I had put the entire dress together. I was showing it off, trying it on to a couple of my friends, and was told that it was too big, which is pretty understandable because the pattern was actually a little bit big for me, and then I didn't take as much seam allowance off with the serger as the pattern recommended. So yeah, I've seam ripped the entire thing, took it apart, fixed up the sides, brought it in a little bit tighter, and this is me checking it, making sure there's still enough room for the zipper. And yeah, the fit actually turned out a lot better after doing this. I was mad about it, but I'm glad I did it. Now we can get the skirt attached. I started by pinning the seams and the notches together, making sure all that matched up. The skirt itself was basted so I could gather it to fit. And then after I had pinned it, I decided I wanted to baste everything one more time instead of having to take the pins out when I put this on the serger. Sewing it on the serger was pretty nerve-wracking because of all the gathers and the different layers. I spent a lot of time just trying to make sure I wasn't catching anything. Also, my serger, I've got it set up to actually trim away the excess fabric, and so that just kind of makes it a little bit more difficult, and there's definitely some places where I did nick the fabric at. Putting the zipper in place was a little awkward. The way the pattern instructed this to be put together, the lining and the outer fabric are already fully sewn and folded over and enclosed. And so the zipper, I guess, would just kind of be on the inside and exposed. I don't really like having my zippers exposed like that, so I wanted this tucked in and kind of secured, so I kind of sandwiched it, folded the fabric back in on itself and sandwiched the zipper in place. And I just thought that gave a little bit more of a clean, finished look, so I was happy with how it turned out in the end. I picked up this tool at an antique store, and I was really excited to figure out how to use it. My dress form has something similar, but it only works for shorter dresses, and most of the time I'm working with floor length skirts. In this case, I was able to set the mannequin up on a stool, and then I could measure how far off the ground I needed the skirt to be. And then you just stick the pin in. It clamps in there, the pin slides right in. It makes it so easy and provides a nice straight, or almost mostly straight, cutting zone for you. So I was sitting here sewing earlier today and thinking, what better way to shoot some hand sewing footage than actually talk while I'm sewing? So the next segment here is called stitching and dishing, maybe hemming and hauling, or sewing and going on and on and on. So yeah, a couple of thoughts as I'm finishing up the last part of this dress. Thought I lost my needle. So I don't know if you're like me. It seems like when I get to the end of a project, the last little bit, the hemming, the hand sewing, the finishing work, that is always when I slow down. Or just not do it at all. Something about finishing just, I'm like so close that I'm like, I don't need to work on it today. But today I need to work on it. And I gotta say, doing this in front of a camera seems to be making it go a lot faster.
think I'm focusing better. Alright, halfway. The thoughts going through my head today are pretty mild right now, but I will say this is why I don't sew for other people. Because this project here, I'm pretty motivated on. I have an event I'm going to wear this to coming up, and so I'm excited. But if I was sewing this for someone else, and all these thoughts going through my head, and the slow process of hand hemming, these thoughts would not be as friendly. It just kind of gets old. So yeah, that's why I don't sew for other people. Alright, last section. I like those videos of people hiking and just kind of talking to themselves as they hike and saying all the random thoughts in their head. That's basically what this is going to be. One more pins. See, this isn't taking long. So I'm using a ladder stitch to roll this hem. And I'll tell you what, with this jersey knit that I'm using, it just works so well. The fabric's already rolling to begin with, and then this just holds it in place. And so I will have the smallest invisible hem on the bottom of this dress. Alright, this is the final stretch, right? 3 more pins. I was told that people will actually enjoy watching this sort of thing. With me sitting here sewing and chatting. So if you find this interesting, let me know. Leave a comment. Must keep sewing, must keep sewing every time. These are the things I get frustrated with. 2 more things. This doesn't feel very exciting even with me talking. But I'm getting it done. Okay. Alright, one more. Oof, I hope I make it with this thread. Well, that is the hem. That only took an hour and a half. That's not too bad. So this is the final dress. But it's done. It is as comfortable as I was expecting it to be. The fabric is just fantastic. It's not perfect. Man, that serger was excitement. I've got nicks all along the line, the neckline here. There's already a nick in the middle of the dress somewhere. Another thing that I wish I would have thought of, or wish the instructions would have told me to do, was cut this front panel on the fold. It didn't tell me to do that. It literally said cut 2. And so there is this nice big seam the whole way down the front of the dress. Maybe it was a thing. I guess it was a thing in the 70s. So that's a thing, and if I ever make the dress again, I'll do that. So one thing I do want to talk about real quick here is this little beaded applique on the front. That was something I had wanted to kind of film more of the making of it. But basically I had some extra beaded appliques that I pulled off of shirts at some point over the years. And so I took all the beads off of those because I knew I wasn't going to use those ever again, and I just started making my own. I wanted this diamond shape on the pattern packet. This dress had like this little decorative thing here, but it didn't talk about it in the instructions at all, so I just kind of had to wing it, come up with it. But I'm really happy with how it turned out. It looks very pretty, adds some sparkle. One of the things I was laughing about with a friend of mine is saying that this is a everyday dress, an anytime dress. She was like, no, it's too flashy. And I'm like, not that flashy. But it doesn't matter. I like it. I'm gonna wear it. I wore it to my office holiday party. I'm gonna wear it back to the office just on any given day of the week. Mostly just because it feels good. But yeah, so this is it. A little bit of the back. The zipper is not perfect, but it will do the trick. It was fun. And the pattern, I mean, really it went together pretty easily. This was a learning experience. I learned the serger, I learned new fabric, and I'm happy with all of it. I'm definitely gonna keep using all of it. There was even leftover of this fabric, so who knows, maybe we'll do a part 2 or something one day, or a shirt or something out of it, I don't know. So thanks for watching as I make this video and make this dress. If anyone's curious, the pattern is Simplicity 6024. It was published in 1973. Again, all the patterns I'm using this year are from 1973 specifically. If you have any questions, leave a comment. Feel free to like, subscribe. I'm going to try to keep posting once a month, and I look forward to seeing you in my next video. I'm Beej, signing off.